The sun was bleeding orange over the high plains of Montana when Ellie Harper stepped out of the little white church in Willow Creek, her Sunday dress fluttering like a frightened bird. She was 22, small-boned, with hair the color of winter wheat and eyes that had always been too honest for her own good. Half the county said she was the prettiest thing west of the Missouri, and every unmarried man from 16 to 60 had found a reason to ride past the Harper Ranch at least once a week for the last 4 years. Most of them left with polite smiles and bruised pride. Ellie had a way of turning a man down that felt like mercy and still cut straight to the bone. Today the man who wouldn't take mercy was Travis McAllister. He was leaning against the hitching post outside the church, thumbs hooked in his belt, Stetson tipped low, the silver conchos on his chaps catching the last light like sparks. Travis owned the biggest spread north of town, 3,000 head of longhorns, a house with real glass windows, and a temper that made strong men step off the boardwalk when he passed. He had decided 6 months ago that Ellie Harper would look perfect on the front porch of that house, rocking his babies and calling him husband. He had asked her father. He had asked her brother. He had even asked Preacher Daniels to put in a word with the Lord. Everyone told him the same thing: Ellie would choose for herself. Travis McAllister was not a man accustomed to hearing the word no. Ellie saw him waiting and felt her stomach knot. She tried to slip past with the crowd, but he moved quick as a rattlesnake and caught her elbow. "Afternoon, Miss Eleanor." His voice was honey over gravel. "You're lookin' finer than usual." She pulled free, gentle but firm. "Good afternoon, Mr. McAllister. If you'll excuse me, Pa waitin'. Your pa knows what's best for you." He smiled the way a wolf smiles. "Walk with me a minute." "I'd rather not." The smile thinned. "It ain't a request, Ellie." Heads turned. Ladies clutched their reticules. Men pretended they hadn't heard. In Willow Creek, nobody crossed Travis McAllister unless they were tired of breathing. He took her arm again, harder this time, and steered her around the corner of the church into the shadow of the cottonwoods. The moment they were out of sight his grip turned cruel. "I've been patient," he said, voice low. "I've brought your pa prime beef. I fixed your roof after the hail. I even put up with you smilin' at that half-breed cowboy who thinks he's somebody just 'cause he can ride broncs." Ellie's chin came up. "If you mean Jude Callahan, he's more man than you'll ever be, and he's never laid a hand on me in anger." Travis's face went dark red. "That drifter ain't got a pot to piss in. I'm offerin' you a future." "I don't want your future." His hand cracked across her cheek so fast she never saw it coming. The world flashed white. She tasted blood. The second blow spun her into the church wall. Her shoulder hit hard enough to rattle the stained glass. She would have fallen, but he yanked her upright by the front of her dress. "You listen good," he hissed, breath hot against her ear. "Next Saturday you'll ride out to my ranch, you'll smile pretty, and you'll let the preacher marry us. Or I swear on my mother's grave I'll burn your daddy's place to the ground with him in it. You hear me, girl?" Ellie couldn't answer. Tears burned her eyes, but she refused to let them fall while he was watching. She stared at him until something in her gaze made even Travis McAllister step back half a foot. He straightened his hat, smoothed his mustache, and walked away like nothing had happened. That was when the tears came. She pressed herself against the cool log wall, slid down until she sat in the dirt, and cried the way children do when they realize the world is bigger and crueler than anyone ever warned them. Her cheek throbbed. Her lip was split. The ribbon in her hair had come undone and lay trampled under her boots. She didn't hear the footsteps at first. She only felt the shadow fall across her. Jude Callahan stood there, hat in his hands, black hair falling over eyes the color of storm clouds. He was 27, tall and rawhide lean, with scars on his knuckles and a reputation for breaking horses nobody else would touch. Folks said his mother had been Cheyenne, his father a Texas drifter who never stayed long enough to claim him. Jude didn't bother correcting the stories. He just did his work, kept his mouth shut, and sent most of his wages to an orphanage back in Denver nobody knew about. Right now those gray eyes were fixed on the blood at the corner of Ellie's mouth. "Who?" The single word came out rough as broken glass. She tried to turn her face away. "It's nothin'. Go on, Jude, please." He crouched, slow, the way a man approaches a spooked colt. When he reached out it was only to brush the torn ribbon off her skirt, nothing more. "Ellie." He said her name like it hurt him. "Who did this?" She started to lie. She'd gotten good at lying for the sake of peace, but the words stuck in her throat. A sob broke free instead. Jude's jaw flexed. He looked toward the street where Travis's big sorrel stallion was tied, then back at her. Something dangerous moved behind his eyes, but when he spoke again his voice was soft. You don't have to tell me if you don't want. But you don't have to carry it alone, either. He took a clean bandana from his pocket and pressed it gentle to her bleeding lip. She flinched, then let him. His hands were calloused, but they trembled just enough that she noticed. I ain't gonna ask you to marry me, he said, voice low. I ain't gonna tell you what to feel. But I'm tellin' you this, Eleanor Harper, you choose who you love. Not your pa, not the town, and sure as hell not Travis McAllister. You choose. And whatever you choose, I'll stand by it. Ellie looked at him then, really looked. She saw the way the fading light caught the sharp line of his cheekbone, the way his shoulders carried the weight of every insult ever thrown at him and still stayed straight. She saw the quiet fury banked in his eyes, not for himself, but for her. She had never felt so safe and so terrified at the same time. Across the churchyard, Travis was laughing with his men, loud and careless. One of them glanced toward the cottonwoods and said something that made the others laugh harder. Jude stood up slowly. The movement drew every eye. Men who had been avoiding Travis all afternoon suddenly found reasons to drift closer, sensing a storm coming. Travis turned, saw Jude walking toward him with that long, ground-eating stride, and the laughter died in his throat. Callahan, Travis drawled, spreading his feet. You lost. Jude didn't answer. He walked until he was 2 paces away, then stopped. The street had gone still as death. You put hands on Miss Harper, Jude said. It wasn't a question. Travis's men shifted, hands near guns. Travis himself smirked. And if I did? Jude's fist moved faster than thought. It caught Travis square in the mouth, lifted him clean off his boots, and dropped him on his backside in the dust. Blood sprayed across the white church steps. The street exploded. 2 of Travis's hands went for their irons. Jude drew left-handed. Nobody had known he was ambidextrous, and put a bullet through the brim of the first man's hat, a second through the dirt at the second man's feet. Next one goes in a knee, he said calmly. I got 5 more. Any takers? There were no takers.